don't get me wrong, I'm still the NXT guy. The flag is still hanging up behind me. I've still got my biases and all that sort of thing, and everything else that's out there still has its issues, and I still want good things for this show. But right now, right this second, what is it, the 24th of August, 2021, Jesus Christ, is it hard to give a fuck. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your NXT God Help Me review for August 24th, 2021. And let's do the house cleaning as we always do and talk about much more positive things than anything I'm going to say in this video, I promise you. Go back to last Friday. Like everybody else on the planet, like everybody else on this platform, I had my own 2 cents to say about Rampage and the awesome return of CM Punk. I'm not going to dwell on that too much here. Jake and I, all things being equal, are going to have an episode coming up for you guys on Friday. Just sort of wrapping up SummerSlam weekend in general. There was obviously TakeOver SummerSlam, the big reveal on Rampage. There was an Impact pay-per-view to talk about as well, but there wasn't that much to talk about. If I'm being perfectly honest. Also, alternatively, I went to a Destiny show that was also pretty damn good and got me home in time to see TakeOver. And there's a lot to unpack, as that horrible, cringy expression says. So hopefully, as I say, all things being equal, and for what it's worth, let's send out some good vibes to our buddy Jake, because, you know, it's a good wrestling community thing to do. Also up on the channel over the course of this past weekend is, hey, look, it's NXT when it was good. NXT Rewind just went out for NXT TakeOver R Evolution from 2014. And 2014 compared to 2020. What's funny about that is I pre-recorded a lot of those and they were in the can for a long time. So it's still me with my COVID hair in that video. So if you like that sort of thing, take it off. If you want to go back a bit farther, there is the latest episode of Flicks Fix with myself and Kristen. We sort of did a wrap-up on the end of Loki, considering we didn't get to really sum up any of those episodes, and the first episode of What If, which looks like a pretty good show, if not a lackluster first episode. I've already seen the second episode. The second episode is multitudes of increments and measurement better. Yeah, that's what I said. As I said, we're gonna wrap up the SummerSlam weekend as well, and I'll have Rampage review up for you guys again this Saturday. Also, other than NXT, when I do NXT, because if NXT continues like this, it might not be every week anymore, guys. But everything other than this review, I've stopped doing Premiere. I mean, first of all, the last weekend was jacked. Thank you to also to all of you that responded really positively to me dropping 3 previews on you in the same morning. It was Emergence, TakeOver, and SummerSlam. But I'm going to start doing that for a little bit, because it seems to be that literally more people are getting the notification if I, you know, other than me being really obnoxious and plugging my shit on Twitter. It seems like more people are getting the notification and getting it into their feed if I just drop it as an episode rather than as a premiere. So I'm going to experiment with that a little bit. The NXT review will always be a live premiere, because I want to have at least once a week where I can give the few of you that actually join me for the live feed a chance to interact and stuff like that, because that is fun, and I don't want to lose that entirely. But we know the end of the week spot was usually 10 p.m. on Friday right after SmackDown, and I'm not competing with Rampage. Let's just say that. And anything else that you guys have to say, anything else that you guys wanna chirp in on as far as what I've been doing on the channel, like I say, you know, doing the Rampage reviews are a lot of fun, because it means I can go out to the movies on a Friday and still come back, watch Rampage, and give you guys something. You know, I'm usually knocking out something with Jake. We are going to get Guapo back into the mix a lot more. Hasn't happened just yet. It's going to happen around All Out, because, you know, we're going to do a preview for that, and then there's going to be some more after that. And as I say, Flicks Fix sort of happens when schedules allow and when there's something to talk about. And let me just tell you, even though I'm going to shit on this show, even though I really liked TakeOver. You know what was in the middle? What was in the middle was Monday Night Raw, and I'll tell you what was 10 times more entertaining than Monday Night Raw. They dropped the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, if you've been living under a rock. Jesus Christ, go check that shit out. I might even put a link down in the box below for that shit. And pretty safe to say the next time we do a Flicks Fix, Christian and I are going to at least touch on that if it's not completely out of date by then, which it is as soon as it happens because it's the internet. I'm rambling about a lot of stuff because I want to talk about NXT because I haven't done it in a while and I've been focusing on other things, but I really don't want to talk about this show, guys. I'm doing a lot of this in bullet form. You guys have seen as I do the Rampage reviews, I don't quite do the bit by bit stuff that I do on NXT, and you know what, for this show I had to do this. There are things that I enjoyed, and you're going to be able to flip the switch pretty quick between the stuff that I am still interested in, the stuff that I am still liking, the stuff that I absolutely could not be paid to give a fuck about. So let's start with Grimes and DiBiase, and they're arriving in a limo because obviously Grimes and LA Knight had their match at TakeOver. I will say, for all that I don't give a shit about this story and all that I say this story's gone on way too long, the match itself on Sunday was not bad. Grimes is good, LA Knight is good. I really thought we were going to go with the story that he had acquired Josh Briggs as his heater, but apparently that was a one and done thing. I don't know. They come out for their celebration, which is really just them kissing each other's asses, and then eventually, you know, DiBiase does the laugh, and Cameron Grimes and him do the to the moon thing together, and they shoot out Cameron Grimes dollar bills, and I hate a promo train. We're going to talk about that later on, but I would have taken a promo train here because they just came out and said some shit, and that was it. Why? There's so many segments tonight that I'm just going to end with why. Now, this had to be the prelude to the show because then we get into the full highlight package of TakeOver 36, and I will say, as I shit on this show tonight, which I'm going to, TakeOver was not bad. You couldn't really save Joe versus Cross because Cross has already been ruined by Raw. But Joe in that match was great. Joe picking up that belt. The commentators making a real point in the night of reminding you that it makes him a 3-time champion, which they hadn't really played up until that point, was really cool. The Walter Dragunov match, Jesus Christ. That's all I have to say about that. Dragunov becoming the new NXT UK champion was awesome. Gonzalez beating Dakota Kai is a bit of a bummer. I think I said this before. I think I said this on a previous review. I wish that Dakota Kai had won because I think she deserves a shot at the championship, and I don't want her to go to the main roster. But also, Raquel Gonzalez might survive the main roster, get her in there with the monsters like Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler, and get Shayna Baszler away from Nia Jackson. You know, that's my end game for everything. But that was that. As I say, the $1 Million Championship was what it was. The 2 out of 3 falls match, even though it had that weird ending that a lot of people didn't like, I thought it was good. It didn't drag out as much as everybody thought it was going to, which was a big thing. Nice short card. I mean, it went longer than I thought it was going to, but it was still a really short card. Everything sort of filled its place really quickly. You had the silly match at the beginning of the night. The women was a great run into the UK Championship, and then I guess they're calling it the co-main event, the 2 out of 3 falls match, and Joe becoming the 3-time champion. I really thought, because everybody was shitting on Karrion Kross so much, I really thought they were going to put the 2 out of 3 falls match in the main event. Because I'm sorry, like, I know the title's supposed to be in the main event, but Cole and O'Reilly, even though some people are sick of it, is the bigger NXT story. It just is. Samoa Joe coming back and being William Regal's bodyguard for a little bit and then getting sick of it in 3 weeks and wanting to wrestle again. As cool as it is, as much as I'm ridiculously happy to see Samoa Joe back in the ring anywhere. I know a lot of people thought he was going to go to AEW, and we can talk about that. They're getting enough people, I can just tell you. Between Malachi Black, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, probably Adam Cole, probably Bray Wyatt. They've got enough people, but seeing Samoa Joe back in the ring, seeing Samoa Joe come back to NXT, it was like Balor coming back, but in a completely different way at the same time, if that makes sense. So really, really happy to see that. Obviously, him being the champion sort of solidifies that for a little bit. And then we got, if I'm fair, a match that I would have loved on another night. It was Ridge Holland versus Thatcher. You guys know I don't give a crap about Ridge Holland. I really try to give the benefit of the doubt to Timothy Thatcher because he's really 50-50 with me. If you put him with the right person, if you put him in a tag team match with Ciampa, he's great. If you put him in there with the right opponent, Finn Balor made him look really good. Ciampa, as an opponent, made him look really good. Put him in there with somebody else that I don't give a shit about, and it's very boring. It's very boring, and which is unfortunate. If I want to be fair, there was a lot of hard-hitting stuff in here. There was a lot of technically good stuff in here as well. Ciampa, with the technical stuff in there, is really good. Ridge Holland, I didn't like him to begin with, and he comes... I'm pretty sure he's not green, but he comes off as green, and it looks like he's hesitating a little bit after coming back from an injury, which is totally understandable. But holy fuck, this match went long, and they hit each other a lot, and the other... nothing about this match worked. Key point, on the outside, Ciampa is in the corner of Thatcher, obviously, and Dunn is in the corner of Ridge Holland. Now, here's the thing. Don't put the match that I'd rather see on the outside. That's no good. Holland wins with a side slam. Yay. And then the four of them brawl. Ciampa gets in there, Pete Dunne gets in there, Holland's in there, Thatcher's in there, and then Lorcan and Birch just join the fray with no pomp and circumstance whatsoever. And then somebody on commentary said, "Oh, I guess Danny Burch is back." Why? That could have been a big thing. That could have been a big thing. Now, if you're going to have Ridge Holland in this group as sort of like the background heater, that's fine. But it looks like they're making the primary team of this faction the Dunn and Holland team, which I don't want. I want Pete Dunne in that title picture. I want Pete Dunne in a title picture. I don't want Pete Dunne to pick up another tag team title. We don't need Broserweights again. That's fine. None of this works. Lorcan just jumps in there out of nowhere. Birch, after being away for as many months as he's been away, deserved something. Like, not, like big parade and fireworks and circumstance, like I say, but something. He didn't deserve to be the 6th or 7th guy in a random brawl that started with a match that I don't care about. The match that started this, right? Literally everybody else. Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan, Danny Burch, Tommaso Ciampa. I care about the 4 guys that were not in the inciting match of this brawl more than I care about the 2 guys that were in the inciting match of this brawl. Everything about this was backwards. NXT. Why? Going on. We get a pre-match interview with Carmelo Hayes. Sat down talking to the interview guy whose name I can never pronounce, so I'm not going to because I don't want to be rude. It's sort of interspliced with him debuting against Kushida, him having his match against Adam Cole, which was fantastic, and his matches in the Breakout tournament. They do a similar thing for Odyssey Jones later on down the line. And say it with me, say it loud, say it proud. WWE and NXT are great at video packages. Yay. We run down the index proposal from last week. Because life hates me. That's all it is. We have an interview with them backstage, and Indy Hartwell says a lot, and Dexter Lumis says nothing, and they're getting married on Tuesday, September 14th. I'm going to skip that episode of NXT, and why is this still happening? But, little brief reprise from my misery. I get a nice, short little piece of awesome female tag team wrestling from characters that are not completely driven down my throat, which is Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter taking on the team of Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. I like Gigi Dolan. I like her whole vibe. People that have been watching me for a long time will have no surprise that whatsoever. I'm still very curious because Cora Jade is still on their roster. I'm still wondering why that team broke up and this is now the team. But, I mean, JC Jane's fine as well, and we can carry on. Catanzaro and Carter, you guys know I've said to the moon and back. Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter are like the Young Bucks, but a little bit better. Dolan and Carter start the match. There's a waistlock trip by Carter, a low drop kick by Carter, and a double suicide dive fake out by Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter. Hard Irish whip by Dolan, and assisted Bronc. My writing sucks. Knee shots by Jane, some stomps and a shoulder tackle by Dolan. Double team in the corner by Dolan and Jane. A back elbow by Catanzaro. A hot tag and some forearms by Carter. A face wash over the bottom rope that just sort of bent her in half a little bit, which is always a great way to spend a Tuesday night. Pump kick by Jane. A neckbreaker 450 splash combo by Catanzaro and Carter. Get the win. And then they jump all over the commentator's desk asking where Zoe Stark and Io Shirai are. Which is awesome, because what I really want is to see more segments of Io Shirai explaining to Zoe Stark, like, you suck because you're not Japanese, because that's definitely what happened in that restaurant, even though everybody wants to read it the other way around, which is fine. Gonzalez is backstage giving a typically bleh Gonzalez interview. She's talking shit about Dakota Kai after beating her on Sunday, which kind of sucks, because, I mean, pretty sure she's doomed to the main roster now as a babyface. Interesting. She addresses the appearance of Kaylee Ray, tells her to get in line. Read on, I think it was No DQ. It is confirmed. Kaylee Ray is permanently on the NXT US roster now. She's moved from the UK to here to be fully part of this roster. Could not be happier about that. The opposite is to be said about Walter. Walter is still very much adamant that he does not want to move to the States. He does not want to be in the States for any prolonged period of time. He will come over, he will do a takeover, he will do other special events or whatever. And both of those are great. Kaylee Ray coming over to be a part of this roster now that it's depleted slightly, I guess you could say, is awesome. And Walter staying away is equally awesome, because Walter, if he's not going to be there prominently as their champion, he should be, what do you call it, an attraction. I was about to say an exhibition. That doesn't work at all. But an attraction. If Walter was on your TV every week, even though he's great, he'd kill everybody, and the roster would be dead. But also it would lose the ambiance of this big, gigantic wrestling machine that moderately resembles Michael Hamflett. Now, this interview was interrupted by the Frankie Monet brand, I guess it is now, and she talks about how she should be the next in line and rah, and I really couldn't pay attention because I am but a human being. And Jesus Christ, Jessie Camilla falling out the bottom of her damn shirt. You're gonna get us all in trouble, but I'm not exactly complaining. Moving on, we see a video package on Kaylee Ray, and then we see a little bit of what Kaylee Ray can do as she takes on Valentina. And Valentina had feathers out to here and sort of looked like a... You know, remember when they tried to get the Lingerie Football League up and off the ground and they had to wear all kinds of ridiculous costumes? It kind of looked like that. I got nothing to say. Super kick and a gory bomb get the win for Kaylee Ray. I'm not gonna go through it. Valentina did what she needed to do as the other body in the ring. Kaylee Ray is awesome, and as much as I'm sort of sweeping over it this week, I am really excited to see Kaylee Ray, because Kaylee Ray, because of the lockdown, because NXT UK basically stopped for most of COVID, she has the dubious title of longest reigning NXT UK women's champion in the history of that brand. And it's kind of like Walter in the sense of, like, yeah, but there was no brand for like a year and a half. But that can still be a thing that they bring over and use to push her up and all that kind of thing. Now, I was excited about this until I realized what it was going to be. Now, on a night like this, where everything's bugging me a little bit, even the cliches that I usually like become annoying. Everybody else hates the promo train. I love the promo train. I don't love it, but I accept it, and I appreciate its value when it's done properly. Here's 2 pieces of wood, we light the fire, and we just keep throwing the wood on, which is fine. Samoa Joe comes out, talks about beating Cross, talks about what it means to be the 3-time champion, gives the typical, well, now I'm the champion, there's a target on my back speech. I will say, in all due credit to Joe, it is sort of a cliche, now I'm the champion, now I'm the target speech, but he still manages to make it good. And then he says, who's going to step up? Pete Dunne comes out, talks about how he's the hardest guy on the roster. It's all good, and you know, you and I have stared at each other because they have. As soon as Samoa Joe was back on NXT in any capacity, he kept on having these stare downs with Pete Dunne that made me really happy, because I would love to see Samoa Joe versus Pete Dunne. And then they're interrupted by LA Knight, and I'm just like, no, 100% no. Like, just kill him, just kill him off right away. It's fine. And then they're interrupted by Kyle O'Reilly. And here's the thought that I had with this, right? I don't want to already think about Samoa Joe's title reign ending. I really don't. But when you put Kyle O'Reilly against Samoa Joe, which will happen eventually, you have to give him the belt. Because when Cross was the champion, he was the plucky underdog babyface that was going to get that title, and it didn't happen. And the same thing happened when Balor was champion, and the same thing happened when Cole was champion, and the same thing happened, I don't remember who was champion before that. But he's the guy, for whatever other problems people have with his character, he's the guy that keeps popping up, thinking he's going to become champion, and keeps getting swatted away. And that will only last so long before you get into, like, Dolph Ziggler status. Now, I will say, when he was addressing everybody, calling Samoa Joe Samoan Joseph, and Peter Dune, which was an old callback to when he was in the Undisputed Era and they were fighting them and all that kind of thing. And then he calls LA Knight La Knight, because he doesn't even know who he is. And for reasons, this is all I can say. For reasons, Kyle O'Reilly gets jumped by Ridge Holland. And in response to that, but not really, Ciampa jumps in the ring with Samoa Joe and Pete Dunne and wants to fight Pete Dunne. Joe smokes LA Knight out of the ring. Everybody goes to their corners. This did nothing. This did nothing. But I'll tell you, this was 100 times better than what we got next. We got Cameron Grimes, Ted DiBiase. They're in the back, and Cameron Grimes does what I've been saying he should do when he wins the title forever. And I'm like, okay, they're bringing this to a close. They're bringing this to a close, because when I saw the opening segment, I was like, okay, this has gone on long enough. He's got to do the babyface thing, give the title back to the legend, and call it a day. Gives it to Ted DiBiase, and he says, no, man, I really, really want you to keep this. I want you to remember who you are. I want you to remember why I chose you, etc. And finally, he turns the belt over, and it says, like, property of WWE shop, $1 million replica. So the entire time, all the time Ted DiBiase's been in NXT, all the time that LA Knight was carrying that belt, all the time that Cameron Grimes was a butler and chasing for that belt and trying to get it again. In the middle, when they both of them were fighting Jake Atlas, who doesn't even work for the brand anymore, they were fighting over a fake title. Fuck me sideways. What was the point of this? I can't. Kyle O'Reilly in the back, who just got jumped by Ridge Holland in the segment, like one segment ago, gets in a brawl with Duke Hudson for reasons, and they're going to fight next week. Why? Okay, let's get back to some good stuff. Carmelo Hayes, Odyssey Jones, for the final of the NXT 2021 Breakout Tournament. Now, this was good. William Regal's out there with the contract. He's going to watch the final and all that sort of thing. Carmelo Hayes comes out, what do I say, charismatic as you want. Odyssey Jones, in a very different way, comes out charismatic as you want. The crowd was into it. Wasn't a particularly long match. Didn't need to be a particularly long match. Collar and elbow tie and a side headlock by Hayes, shoved off by Jones. A side headlock again by Hayes, and he gets gorilla tossed across the ring, I should say. Dropkick by Hayes, dropkick to the knee, and an enziguri. Jones swats Hayes out of the sky when he goes for a top rope something as we go to the commercial break. Hayes works the leg in the corner as we come back from that commercial break. Jones hits a beatdown on the midsection, backpack sleeper by Hayes on a front face lock, and a scissor kick, a series of strikes by Hayes, a head scissor and an axe kick, a series of kicks by Hayes, and Jones eats the post. Yay, top rope scissor kick, which probably should have been the end of the match, let's be real, but it gets reversed into a splash by Jones, but that splash gets reversed into a crucifix pin, which is kind of like the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. I was on a roll there, and the light went out. Almost like the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, stealing that from Simon Miller. He gets a crucifix pin, gets the win. They have a handshake as Odyssey Jones leaves. He sort of sells the heartache of getting so close and losing, which is really, really nice. And then we go up to the stage where William Regal's there and some interview chick is there. I don't know who it is. Fuck me. Like, they're all the same. They all come out and say the same shit. He gets on the mic after William Regal gives him the presentation. He says, you know, this is not only a contract, but it's also the chance for you to take on whatever champion you want. He says, you know, you don't want to make that choice lightly. I haven't made that choice yet. I'm going to have to go and think about that. He gives another shout out to Odyssey Jones, says that guy is no joke, and it's just nice. It's just nice. I buggered up my ending of the match there, which was kind of bad. But here's the thing. The only thing, if I want to nitpick this, and I don't really want to nitpick this because this was one of the highlights of the show. If I want to nitpick this, he should have won it with the top rope axe kick, because if I'm not mistaken, most people that know more about him and know what his name was before NXT and all that kind of thing know that that's like his signature thing, is that top rope axe kick. So why would you not solidify your contract with the brand and your contract to fight for a championship with your finisher? Now, to counter the splash from a guy that size into the crucifix, and the most devastating move in all sports entertainment, all that kind of thing, it's good. It shows that you can take the adversity of somebody literally twice the size of you landing on you. I get that, and I don't get me wrong, I appreciate that part of the storytelling. It just would have been cool to, like, this is this thing that's mine, and I'm going to use it to punctuate the match. That is a very, very minor nitpick on what was otherwise a pretty satisfactory match that didn't overstay its welcome, and I'm sure Odyssey Jones is going to be... When they advertised this, they showed the last one from, I think it was like 2019, and pretty much everybody in that bracket ended up doing something in NXT. So I'm sure a lot of these guys, I mean, Duke Hudson, Josh Briggs, and all these guys are already finding their own little spots on the roster as well. So it's fine. Pete Dunne and friends, because that's what we're going to call it, are in the back, and they're all talking shit. Pete Dunne says, I don't care who else comes out to the ring. Samoa Joe knows that I'm the one that should be facing him for that world title. Danny Burch talks about being away for so long and the fact that they never actually lost the tag team titles, so that's the direction they're going in. And Rich Holland, because he's already fought Timothy Thatcher, now wants to fight Tommaso Ciampa. So what was the point of him attacking Kyle O'Reilly? So that Kyle O'Reilly could then have a random brawl with Duke Hudson to set up that match. It's all a mess. And the thing is, other than Rich Holland, I like the other three guys in this match. I really want to give a shit about this promo, but there's problems with every single one. And, I mean, I'm a big fan of the team of Lorcan and Birch. Lorcan and Birch are the hard-ass team that Imperium think they are. And that's not to be mean. I know those guys work hard, and I know they're great athletes, and I know they're great technical wrestlers. I just don't give a shit about them. More partial to MSK. You guys know where I'm gonna sit with shit like that. I wish I could care. It's so very hard to care. I'll be honest with you guys as well, right? Somebody sent me something over the course of the weekend, and I thought it was a, like, hey, what if NXT did this? And it was just like a bunch of different ideas, and it wasn't that. It was just the spoilers for tonight's episode. So if you want yet another light in the window of why I can't give a shit about this show, it is that I knew a bunch of things that were going to happen on the show, but also I didn't know all of it, and this show did not, other than the little thing, like I say, the women's tag match, because it's all like women on the undercard that I want to see do more shit, and Kaylee Ray, who just came over from the UK, and these guys in the Breakout tournament, like, that haven't overstayed their welcome yet, all of that is good. Everybody that I'm sick of, even the people I like, I'm getting sick of. Like, it's bad. I'm going to send another shout out to Jake DeMarco. He's mentioned it on a couple of our podcasts. It's like, you know what, as much as we don't want anybody to go up to the main roster, like, there is a churn that needs to happen, and it's not happening. It's a weird cyclical thing, though. I tried to explain this on a podcast a couple of days ago. We don't want them to come to the main roster, so we reject anybody coming to the main roster. So WWE, even though we want to pretend that they don't listen, they do listen. They don't care what we have to say, but they do listen. So they say, you don't want anybody to come up, we'll leave them all down there. And then they just sit in the cistern, and because they're there, the people that are underneath can't do anything, and that's why you get people like my girl Shotzi who move up way too early because there's no room for them at the top. And it's a mess. And you get situations like, hey, we know Gonzalez is going to win on Sunday because Kai's gone to the main roster. We know Joe's going to win on Sunday because Cross is going to the main roster and he's already been... Oh my God! I can't believe I didn't go with this. What the fuck did they do to Cross on Raw? It's not appropriate for YouTube, some of the comments that I thought when I saw that shit. And I just... Apparently... going forward, they're going to have him refer to the ring as the Cross Coliseum. Fuck me. And then, Zion Quinn, who the fuck is Zion Quinn, beat Boa. Because the 1,000-year-old dragon lady distracted her own student in like 30 seconds. I got nothing. The only funny thing I will say about this is when 1,000-year-old dragon lady got up out of her throne as Zion Quinn was making his exit out of the ring, he took one look at her, walked back down the ramp and said, "That seems like a you problem," and he like hopped over the barricade and left the arena that way. That was funny. This dude that I don't know was more entertaining in that 10 seconds than he was in the 30 seconds that this match took. Where's Xia Li? Was Xia Li on the list of releases and I just missed it? Jake and I did not too long ago a podcast on like, hey, what if we made an entirely new company just out of the people that WWE has released during COVID? I don't think has she been released? Does she have COVID? I don't want to think about either of these things. I mean, there's people on the main roster that are gone for unexplained reasons and replaced by much better fiery Irish redheads, and that's fine, but it is what it is. Then in Regal's office, because we don't have enough nonsense, we have Gargano going to his boss, trying to get his boss to cancel his adopted daughter's wedding to another guy, and those guys all work for the same boss, so they're all co-workers, and yeah. And then LA Knight comes in, and he's just yelling, and him and Gargano get in each other's faces for no reason. So the two of them and Regal all start yelling at each other for reasons. So we've got a brilliant heel versus heel match set for next week, and Gargano wants to stop a wedding. LA Knight wants a shot at Samoa Joe. So obviously they need to have a match. What the fuck is going on? I cannot handle this show. Although I will say, the capper was good. The capper was Legado del Fantasma versus Hit Row in a 6-man tag, or for my AEW fans out there, a trios match. Legado del Fantasma jump Hit Row at the beginning. Now, I do like it. They really accentuated the... for the entrance, they really accentuated the luchador garb with the big ring jackets and Escobar with the poncho and all that. I thought that was really cool. Not totally like firecracker in your face stuff, but just a little bit of an attire change. It was kind of nice, and they all come out with the masks. They all lay the masks out in front of themselves as part of their entrance. It's all good. They turn around immediately and jump Hit Row. All 6 men brawl to start. Triple team on Top Dollar does not go very well at all. There's a trip on the outside to Escobar by B-Fab, which sets the tone for the rest of the match. Body shots by Escobar, a toss around the ring by Top Dollar. Now, I will say, the dynamic of this match is a big pile of people match, a big trios match, if you want to call it that. 5 high flyers and a big motherfucker like Top Dollar is a nice combination. I can't tell you why it works, it just works. Beat down by Adonis. Wild and Adonis trade some strikes. There's a monkey flip by Adonis. Adonis does a bunch of monkey flips. And I'm not going to say anything else about that because I'll get myself in trouble. Drop kick and a flapjack on the floor by Adonis as well as we go to commercial. Because you don't want to eat shit on the floor, do you? You don't want, well, technically I guess you don't want to eat shit anywhere. Coming back from the commercial break, uppercuts by Mendoza, Legado, triple team Swerve, which is nice. Swerve took a lot of, like, for the only champion in this match, he took a lot of damage in this match. He got his ass handed to him quite a bit in this match in a very good way. Like, I made the comment a couple weeks ago about how to lose like a winner. He took an ass beating like a winner, and I know that doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to pull good things out of this show, god damn it. Huge tackle by Top Dollar, a big corner splash by Top Dollar as well as a side slam. Top Dollar does a triple fall away slam wasteland thing because he picks up, I'm going to get this wrong, he picks up Wild, and then he goes over to Mendoza and picks up Mendoza on top of Wild, and then has Escobar in front of him, and he just sort of flips backwards, and it's a Samoan drop, it's a wasteland, it's a fall-away slam, it's whatever you want to call it, but he just threw 3 people with relative ease, and that's kind of terrifying. Escobar and Swerve finally get into the ring, the 2 guys we want to see fight. They trade some punches. There's a 450 by Swerve. Swerve gets face planted on the apron. B-Fab attacks Escobar on the outside as Swerve is recovering, and he eats the post on the outside fucking hard. But before she can do anything else, she is attacked by Elektra Lopez, who, to my knowledge, has had one match on NXT, but she goes at her with a pipe, and then she throws the pipe at Swerve. The referee looks at Swerve. Swerve has to protest his innocence, and gets rolled up by Escobar for the win. Legado gets the win. Escobar gets the momentum and eventually is going to have a singles match for that title. They've added a female to their group. They've balanced the scales in this rivalry, like 3 guys and a girl versus 3 guys and a girl. I know that doesn't always matter, but in this case it's kind of nice because B-Fab has made herself quite a prominent part of it. She's not just cheering from the sidelines, she's in the action. So to have Elektra Lopez and even Escobar looks kind of fucked up, because I think she kind of went into business for herself. Because when Escobar kind of looks at her, she's like, "Hey, familia." I'm like, okay, cool, I guess, I like it. I haven't done this match a lot of justice because everything that came before it really bummed me out. But this was a really fun main event with a really interesting ending, a really interesting story development between the two, and the right team won, and the right guy got the pin on the right guy for the story that's going on here. Now, we're going to go back to Top Dollar and Adonis and Wild and Mendoza all trying to get back into the tag team title picture, which now also has Lorcan and Birch in it to go up to MSK. You got Grizzled Young Veterans. There's a hiding underneath. There's a decent tag team division in NXT if they decide to do anything with it. Just do something. I don't know. This was really cool. This was a really cool way to end the show. Doesn't change the fact that the large majority of this show was not able to give a fuck about a ball. I don't know. Like I say, little odds and ends of news. The Walter thing going back to the UK. Kaylee Ray staying here. Apparently the rumors about them being totally and completely done with Full Sail are not as concrete as we thought. Whatever the new generation of NXT and all the changes and all that are, apparently that's coming in the next couple of weeks as well. Apparently the next 4 weeks is all pre-taped, so I'm going to try to avoid spoilers, but like I say, the show tonight, I don't think this being live, if they did everything they did tonight, I don't think them being live or taped would have made that much of a difference. Should mention also Diamond Mine had a promo in there somewhere about Roderick Strong is the uncrowned Cruiserweight champion, and he's got an open challenge next week. I bet you the open challenge is answered by Kushida, and he just throws his belt in there for the hell of it, and they hotshot putting that belt on Roderick Strong, because why make things mean things? I sound like an asshole in this review, probably, and it's just because I've meant what I've always said to you guys. I am biased towards NXT. I do like NXT, but it means when NXT is shit, I'm going to be harder on it than I am on anything else. Like, I've taken the piss out of AEW, because there's been times where AEW has given reason to shit. When Cody Rhodes goes out there and cries for 20 minutes and cries until he bleeds and all the other types of things and all the cheap shots at WWE, that some of them are good, I'll say, but some of them are just obnoxious. Like, I'll take the piss out of that, but I'm also kind of like laughing because I'm on this side of the line. If I'm on this side of the line and NXT is sucking like this, like, it's actually gonna bum me out. Like, okay, when I get out of wrestling mode, I'm gonna go watch something else on TV, and it's fine because wrestling's over here and everything else is over here. But like, while I'm talking about wrestling, this show that I like being this bad is gonna bum me out. So if I sound like an asshole in this review, good. In a way, because that's how this show made me feel, and this is the mood this show put me in, I'm not gonna lie. I know most people have already fallen off NXT. I know I'm one of the guys with the little dingy lifeboats hanging off the end of the Titanic, perhaps, especially if they're gonna revamp the whole thing anyway. Tell me if I'm wrong, though. Like, for those of you that are like me that still want NXT to be good, tell me if I'm wrong. Like, what did this show shit the bed tonight as much as I think it did? Because there were a couple things that were good. Like I say, the women's tag, the main event was good. Some story development here and there. Legado getting a female member, and Takeover was good. So I should be more excited than I am, which reinforces my idea that this show really, really shit the bed. I'm going to say it one more time. This show shit the bed. I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.